In this video, I will demonstrate how to modify the geometry using trim to entities, trim to point, and divide commands. You can use trim to entities command to trim, extend, and break entities in the graphics window. You can trim 1, 2, or 3 entities. The trim to entities command is in the wireframe tab in Modify group, trim to entities. By default, the entity type is set to trim. Remember, trim can also extend entities. And the method is set to auto. I'm going to ask you to enable trim one entity. The trim one entity allows you to select the entity you wish to trim, extend, and then the entity up to where you want it to trim or extend it. In our example, we are going to extend this line up to this one. I'm going to select the line that I need to modify, extend in our case, and the line up to where I want it to be extended. If you want to trim this line up to this line, the same trim one entity can be used. You just need to select the line in the area that you want to keep, and then the other line up to where you want the trimming to be performed. As you could see, the system shows you with hidden lines the segment of the line that will be removed. The undo function allows you to undo the last operation that we did. Next, I'm going to trim two entities. Trim two entities allows you to trim or extend both entities up to the intersection point. Again, it's going to be important how you select the lines. I'm going to select this line here and then the other one. As you could see, the segments that are going to be removed are displayed with hidden lines. Click again on the second entity. Trim three entities. Trims or extends all three entities. The first two entities that you select are going to be trimmed to the third selected entity, which acts as a trimming curve. The third entity is then trimmed to the first and the second entity. Always select the entities on the side that needs to be kept after trimming. Line here, select this line here, and then the arc. Next, I'm going to demonstrate how you can also modify multiple entities by holding down the left mouse button and dragging the cursor across the entities. In order to do that, I'm just going to use the undo button and go back to the trim two entities option. I'm going to reselect trim two entities and choose first trim two entities. As I mentioned, you hold down the left mouse click and you drag the cursor on the side of the lines that you want to keep after trimming, and then release. Next, I'm demonstrating trim three entities with this option. Hold down the mouse left click, select the first entity on the side that you want to keep, select the second entity on the side that you want to keep, and remember with trim 3, the third entity that you select is the entity up to where the other two entities were trimmed to. And then it's done. A little bit more tricky, but you just need to practice with it. I'm going to exit from trim two entities. And next we are going to see how we can use trim to point command. Trim to point trims or extends a curve to a point or any defined position in the graphics window. If the point that you enter does not lie on the selected entity, Mastercam calculates the closest position on the entity and trims the entity to that point. To open Trim to Point command from the Wireframe tab, click on the arrow next to the Trim to Entities, and from the drop-down menu, select Trim to Point. In the Trim to Point panel, Trim is enabled. I'm going to first select the entity that we need to trim extend, and then the point up to where you want to extend, in our case, the line. To exit the command, select the OK button or press Escape. The last command that I'm going to demonstrate in this video is divide. Divide trims a line or an arc into two disjointed segments by removing the segment that lies between two dividing entities. When you move your mouse cursor over the point where you wish to divide the entities, a hidden line should appear showing you the entities which will be removed. Divide will delete isolated entities with no intersections, and entities with a single point of intersection will also be deleted. Divide command is located in the Wireframe tab in the Modify group. The option is set to trim, and you can see by hovering the cursor above the segments that you want to remove, it shows you that segment with hidden line. The segment lies between two other curves, in our case two lines. Just need to click to remove it. Notice how in this case the segment that is going to be removed doesn't take in consideration this line because the line is not touching the arc. And then again you can remove this entity. As I mentioned before, you can also use divide command to delete unwanted entities, single entities. This concludes my demonstration on how to use Trim to Entities, Trim to Point, and Divide commands.